Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. So, let me just set this up. I'm trying to make this so it's as stable as possible. Alright, so far no good. Alright. Khair. Inshallah, it'll get better as time will progress. So, actually, you know what, I might as well just take it off this. Assalamu alaikum, people. Obviously late, fashionably late. Punctuality is a virtue for the mediocre. Mediocrity is not what we're aiming for. So, can you guys, shukran, can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys, just need to know if you can hear me fine first of all. Let me just check what's up with but you know what? It's been a crazy day, man. Crazy day, honestly. Crazy. Es muy loco. Loud and clear. That's what I want to hear. All right. It's just been one of those. Don't want to kind of go through it. It's just going to sound like a rant. But it's just everything's been kind of like messing up. But you're still fighting. You're still hanging in there. Oh man, I've got so much. My system kind of crashed on me, work related. Lillahi alhamd, all thanks to somebody, a good friend who kind of helped me with that post in the middle, really early this morning. So got that. Then today, you can imagine when you have a substitute system, it's not hooked up to any of the other kind of drivers and stuff like this in there, and that a nightmare and cases I'm dealing with and people trying to right. So, and then I've got an iPad Pro, right? All right, you know the massive one, the 12.9 inch. I bought that not today, but just this recently. So I was trying to launch this today from there, and for some reason Facebook just kept stalling. It wouldn't download it, so I couldn't figure out what the issue was. And then I just thought, forget it. I'm just gonna do this off my phone, and we can, inshallah, as I figure that out, we'll show that to somebody who knows how technology works. I had to say, I said to a friend today, I said, I hate being I said, I hate being like such a retard when it comes to IT and all this, you know, like this computer tech savvy stuff. Damn, ignorance. I hate it. But anyway, let's see what you guys want to talk about. So I'm gonna flick through some of these questions right now. Shukran, somebody's saying looking fresh. I'm actually not looking fresh. Damn, I haven't managed to shave since yesterday, and I just thought, you know what, just forget it. I'm just gonna get this class done. For once I might crash out early, have an early start, hit the gym, steam room, fresh shave, be ready, get some work done tomorrow. Let's see, wallahu a'lam. Anyway, yeah, sorry about the robe. I thought if I don't put it on, I couldn't find any thobe right now or anything like that to put on. And otherwise, I thought my vest is just going to be too raggo for you guys. You're going to be like, look, Mufti's going OTT. It's going on top. Right, so let's see. Right now, if I miss some questions, please repost them, okay? So let's begin, okay? Inna alhamdulillahi wa kafa. Alright, the khutbah coming in, people. Inna alhamdulillahi wa kafa. That's All praise be to Allah, and with that, it suffices. That's sufficient. وَأَفْضَلُ الصَّلَاةِ وَالسَّلَامِ عَلَى نَبِيِّهِ الْمُصْطَفَى. And the best of praise and blessings be upon his chosen messenger. وَعَلَى عِبَادِهِ الَّذِينَ ارْتَضَى. And those of his servants whom he is pleased with. وَمَنْ بِهُدَاهُ مِهْتَدَى. And those who follow in their guidance. وَبِآثَارِ أَهْلِ الْمَدِينَةِ اقْتَفَى. And those who follow with the tradition of the people of Medina. Amma ba'd. Allahu Akbar. What a way to start, goddammit. I want to slam down on this table, but I don't want the phone to fall over or anything. So let's begin, inshallah. Q&A. Did the Prophet ﷺ say that wrestling is sunnah? Indeed. I don't know if the Prophet ﷺ said wrestling is sunnah. The Prophet did wrestle. The companions generally wrestled. They obviously practiced things like sword fighting, archery. I mean, the world then was very different as well. It was a very, a man's world. Like a very macho kind of lifestyle, I suppose, which was... they weren't doing it to kind of show off. They were doing it as it was integral to their lifestyle, like knowing self-defense, or keeping healthy, or horse riding, or stuff like this. This was survival tactics. If you weren't good at these things, you weren't going to survive. So the Prophet ﷺ did participated. He encouraged people to participate. In this day and age, I think wrestling, I think if you're doing any kind of martial arts, that's awesome. If you can do it, what I'm because I'm trying to understand the person's question, right, which is, that's Hez Jamrock's question, right, that it's not I'm not saying if somebody doesn't do wrestling or martial arts that they're kind of sinful or wrong or lacking. But I think it's a good discipline. It's something that Islam encourages, or just keeping healthy at least. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith about encourage swimming to the extent, so even though when you think about it, there wasn't much water around but it was encouraging it for those that would be exposed to that. Horse riding. Obviously, in our day and age, it doesn't mean you have to go learn horse riding. You can do, but it's not necessary, and it might be a bit out of the way. But just go into the gym, martial arts, Wing Chun, whatever it is. Somebody wrote that on there. It's all good, man. It's all good. Which hotel you get it from? All right. Great minds think alike. I actually did used to go to, I still gotta resume it anyway, would frequent a lot of hotels quite a bit actually, and I used to take my family, take my daughter as well, and she loves like going to these different towns and stuff. So is that what you're saying, that every time you go to a hotel, rate it? I couldn't possibly comment on that. Right, so... let's go down. Yeah, loud and clear. Hear you fine. Alright, awesome. Urji huzur. Allah, kya kehne. For what is Mauritania specialized in Islamic sciences? Allah, Usama, for what is, I love the eloquence. For what is Mauritania specialized in Islamic sciences? For what are these sciences of which you speak? Mauritania is awesome for its kind of its Islamic sciences, mainly things like fiqh, usul, Arabic language, things like this. They are renowned for. I mean, it does not mean that they do not have anything other than, it does not mean they do not have qira'at, they do. It does not mean they do not have hadith, they do. But what I'm going by my understanding, which may be lacking, and as the principle says, وَلَيْسَ عَدْمُ الْعِلْمِ عِلْمًا بِالْعَدَمِ. And the absence of knowledge is not the same as the knowledge of something's absence. Alright, remember that one, people. Right, so the thing is, they have their madrasas are called mahadir or mahdara, or they call it, some of them call it mahdara with a dha and a dad. So it's both. But quite popularly, you'll see mahdara. And some people think that's because of the kind of hadira, the kind of, forgot what you call it now, the kind of straw mats that you have that people lay down and sit on top of. So they call those hadira as well sometimes in Arabic. But the point is that they call them these mahdara, the madrasas, and they are renowned for an incredible, I don't know, they've been gifted with incredible memories, Allahu A'lam, but that's how it appears. They seem to be amazing, they seem to memorize anything and everything, which is wow. Although, I don't know if that's the... I don't know if they're always ideal for contemporary kind of issues. Some of them, the people like the legend Muhammad ibn Hassan ad-Dadu, Sheikh Dadu, and I think I've seen it written as Dido as well, but he is incredible. He's awesome, and you see him, he's like such a celebrity, super celebrity, yeah. And somebody is in direct contact with him. All right. So I have to say he's a legend, and he on contemporary issues, he has some awesome fatwa, things like women, and I shared his fatwa of saying like women can travel on their own, catch planes, stuff like that. He doesn't object to things like that. He said about women wearing makeup, it's absolutely fine. They don't need to cover the face. They can even wear makeup, and I shared that, and I like that approach. And I've even reached out to him about my the whole nail polish kind of fatwa for women. I'm just showing that, not that I wear nail polish, okay? Don't want you to get into my ideas, people. Don't swing that way. But the thing is, so anyway, he Lillahi alhamd, actually kind of agreed with what I said. I said to him, look, I've given this fatwa, I've given this ruling on the nail polish, and this is the background and so on, and your thoughts on it. And he said, well, I'd agree with you. Alright, which is huge, which is, a don like that saying that's such an honor. Right, so Salam Mufti, what is your verdict on transgender Muslims? I mean, what do you mean verdict? Why would I have a verdict on transgender Muslims? I wouldn't have a verdict. They are Muslims like everybody else. May Allah make their struggle of ease. Ameen. Ameen. And replace their difficulties. I mean, Abdul Awwal, is that you, Maulana Muhammad Abdul Awwal, who many years ago, many moons ago, we studied together abroad. So, and he's a sheikh and a Maulana, so salute. Right, delete the app through your settings and download it again. It should be fine. Oh, Gibran, but the problem is it kept saying waiting, so it wouldn't allow it to be deleted. I tried deleting, it wouldn't let it delete because it just said waiting and wouldn't download, and it took me it'd been half an hour. I thought, you're taking the mic now. What's the mu'tamad hair products according to the Maliki madhab? Allah, just keep the hair cool and awesome. As the hadith says, that man kana lahu sha'run falyukrimhu. The Messenger of Allah said, whosoever has hair, let him honor his or her hair. Take care of it, inshallah. Salam, Sheikh, du'as requested, looking for a Maliki wife. Whoa! Alright, Murad, is that you looking for a Maliki? Do you mean by that looking for that on my live lesson? Is that Are you trying to kind of like exploit my lessons here? It's all good, man, it's all good. Well, let me know how that works out for you, inshallah. Maliki fiqh, Maliki for marriage, specified. Look at that, the brother specified Maliki for marriage. Now there's a few masail that the Malikis, which I ain't going to go into because we're just going to get blacklisted. So, Salam, why didn't wearing gold for men didn't get the same ruling as wearing trousers above your ankles? Why? I'm trying to understand Nathaniel Savas Munir's question. Why didn't wearing gold for men get the same ruling as wearing trousers above your ankles? Right, so wearing trousers above your ankles is linked to a custom which I don't really think is valid or evident in our day and age. Right, so the thing is, what are all these super angry faces coming out, man? Right, god damn, whoa, I seem to have annoyed a few people. Right, I've got to shoot them all off now, right? So anyway, it didn't, because why couldn't gold be mu'allal, attached to arrogance? I mean, I don't know. The Prophet ﷺ said it is haram, and it's been pretty much deemed haram by most. I'm not aware of any kind of differences of opinion on that. And usually, these differences, for some reason, find their way to me. They have a way for I don't know, just a way for doing that. But I haven't heard of any differences on that matter. Sheikh, what do you think about the Noor Taguri article in the Playboy magazine? What are your thoughts? What on earth is a tort? Are you having a writing lisp? You know, this Noor Taguri thing. I mean, I have not read her article or anything, but obviously everybody on Facebook just went mad over her. I mean, I can't be, personally, I think, look, people have their freedoms, do whatever they want. From what I'm aware, that the article wasn't anything, I mean, I don't know, I haven't read the article, but from what I heard, the article wasn't anything kind of disrespectful or anything like that. And she did this, obviously, there is an understanding that the Muslim community just won't accept certain things, or they're not at that stage to accept certain things. I understand that. And then obviously, because Playboy is Playboy, so, you know, why give an interview with Playboy and stuff like this? But I mean, look, there is something though I'd like to say, and that is that we as Muslims have to learn to restrain our wishes to exercise control on the whole world. People are free, independent people. They live their own lives. We have no control over them. We don't have no haqq to be trying to control them. If they ask you, give them your opinion, but you don't need to all go on like, whoever this Noor is, that she's not like, nobody has authority over her. Like, she's an independent human being who's living her life, doing whatever she wants to do. So I mean, just like I'm sure you, me, everybody else is doing whatever they want to do. So I think we have to just kind of back off and learn to stop wishing to control other people. Right? We don't have that authority. وَلَسْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمُسَيْطِرٍ, as Allah says in the Quran. And you are not somebody that has that authority of control over them. Seems like you're drinking with your left hand. Does it? This is actually my right hand. It might be that the screen is flipping it. So I mean, that's that. Although I am left-handed. Alright, left-handed people. Big up to all the left-handed people out there. Do you drink with your left? I don't. This is my right hand, but I mean, the screen's flipping it. Mufti, please enlighten about triple talaqs, because it's a hot topic and is booked against in the Supreme Court of India. Wow. Danish sir, bahut mehrmani itlaq ke liye. To know that, I didn't realize that that's such a hot topic and it's going through some kind of legal action there. The thing is that if, in my understanding, look, the talaqs are known, right? So we do know about, generally the predominant position is 3 talaqs or 3. Okay, so we accept that. And there is a minority position that gives it some space. What I would say is that we need to learn to exercise some tolerance as well and space with people. Where people are trying to make amends, people are trying to reconcile, we need to kind of learn to exercise some maslahah, some welfare with them to kind of help them out. Okay, people don't understand Islamic rulings. To kind of just throw their lives away like that, I think it goes against the mercy and compassion of the Sharia. And that was the fatwa of Shaykh al-Islam, the Maliki Mufti, legendary Mufti Ibn Ashur of Tunis in the late 60s. He granted the fatwa that in those circumstances, we would consider 3 talaqs to be 1. And I say that to people who need help. So if people want to get back together, I will exercise that for them, to help them. And that's what Islam, ad-Dinu Yusr, Islam is about helping people. Although personally I would teach the default position that 3 or 3, but if somebody came looking for help, that's how I would help them. Hello, hal anta Muslim? Allahu a'lam, hal ana Muslim am la? Am I a Muslim, the guy asked. So God knows. What's the ruling on missing Jummah in America? Is Jummah counted in America? Hassan, how you doing? Right, I see a lot of your Facebook posts. Yes, of course, Jummah is counted worldwide, wherever you are, as long as a group of people can get together. If you have to miss it, I'm taking for some ruling like, I don't know whether that's something like work or stuff like that. You do have reasons. It does give you plenty of, whoa, I'm seeing a lot of angry faces. Come on, man, people, smile up a bit. Hey, why so serious? Come on, right? Show some love, people, show some love. So the thing is now, I would say, look, Jummah, if you're stuck in work and stuff, you do have a valid excuse to miss it. You mentioned a few months ago that Surah Nas was not revealed in response to the Prophet being a victim of black magic. That is correct. Surah Nas is a Makki surah, whereas the magic incident is a Medinan case. Can you say what the ruling about divorce? I've already said the ruling on divorce. Nosheen, is that you? Boo at man's world. I just want to say, you know, the other day there was this feminist really gave me a bit of a tough time, actually. The thing is, look, I stick up for women's rights and I believe everybody should. But I think sometimes some people just overdo it. And I'm not saying, and I hope this is not the majority, this is only a minority of people. But some people, I think they may fall into like man-hating. And I think that becomes a problem, and that's not from the akhlaq that we should have as human beings primarily, and as Muslims, you know, secondarily. So just to, Alaikum Salam Saraj. Alright, so what is the status of those hadith which are chainless? Are they fabricated? No, they're not necessarily fabricated. If a hadith doesn't have a chain, it can be investigated. Looking good, shukran. Can you please enlighten about triple talaq? As I've explained, the triple talaq incident, 3 are 3, but if you can exercise leniency to help a couple, I believe you should. Mufti, when you're going to arrange a Umrah trip with your good self? I'm not worthy, seriously. I just remember those words of Ghalib. Kaaba kis muh se jaoge Ghalib, sharam tumko magar nahi aati. That how would you go to the Kaaba? Do you not have no shame, for God's sake? Is slavery halal in Mauritania? No, I don't believe it is, Bilal. And I don't believe that in this day and age, Islam would allow it either. Alright, what is the opinion on Nazar, evil eye? In my understanding, evil eye is just a synonym for envy. It doesn't have any existence beyond that. And the hadith referring to it being a truth, al-aynu haqq, what it meant was in terms of its outcome. So not that the evil eye, but the fact that just like envy is, we say envy is haqq, it's true, but it's not envy in itself that harms you, but it's when people act out on envy that causes harm. So nazar, ahkamun nazar, al-ayn, all these kind of things, I don't really believe in these kind of things, and I see them to be part of superstition really, and part of the greater kind of cultural myths. I think Islam came to kind of eradicate superstitions and to build faith upon certainty and reason. Elaborate on the different schools of Arabic in Iraq, their general scholarly beef. Askar Khan, alright. It's been a while since I've seen somebody with interest in Nahu. The schools of Nahu kind of really took the formation in Iraq, in places like initially Basra, You had a lot of very early kind of people who precede the likes of Khalil and so on, but really it matures with people like Khalil, Ibn Ahmad al-Farahidi, his student Sibawayh. These kind of people are some key people. They obviously have a lot of Kufa picks up as well in a similar style. Many people kind of travel across and study as well with them. You have a student of Sibawayh known as Al-Akhfash. Now there's three Akhfashes, but the middle one, right. But anyway, Abul Hasan al-Akhfash, I believe, is the main one. And he kind of becomes this pivotal figure. He influences he disagrees a lot with Sibawayh. A lot of the Kufic scholars like Kasai namely take from him, become influenced by him, and they carry on and they have this rivalry that goes on for a few generations. And then there's a Baghdadi school and other places emerge as well. They have differences of opinion. If I go on about it, I'll lose most of the people on here because they won't understand what I'm talking about. But they have some awesome kind of discussions. There's a book by Ibn al-Ambari known as Al-Insaf fi Masail al-Khilaf. Now he is Baghdadi who takes a bit of a liking towards the Kufis, but really I don't think he did it insaf. He tries to arbitrate between the two. He has about 300 issues, but I don't think he did a fair job. He hardly ever gives justice to the Kufis unless on a handful of issues. Am I wearing a robe? Well, it is indeed. Jinn alert. It's a Gucci robe. Alright. There's someone behind me. Right, there are people teaching Islam, but they have no background of having studied any of it. How do we advise them? How do we advise the people teaching Islam? I mean, I don't know if people who are teaching Islam, if they don't know anything. If they don't know anything, why are they so eager to impart it? Anyway, I don't know what to say to them. Shukran for the hairstyle thing. I actually just brushed. I was growing my hair long for a little while, for a few weeks. I'd forgotten how much hard work it was, seriously, to grow long hair. I couldn't be bothered with it, so I just went to the hairdresser, said, off it goes. Learning and understanding Quranic Arabic. Yes, Farida, Leon, absolutely, you need to study the Arabic language. I do agree that it is an obligation upon all Muslims to the best of their capacity to learn Arabic. By any means necessary, whatever you can do. The Bayyina program with Ustad Noman Ali Khan, I was speaking to him recently about some of the programs, and he has some very good programs, and there's some which you can do remotely, and you can just do them online and catch up on your own in your own time. And so I think if you go to their website or Google it, Bayyina programs, they've got I'm not sure the name of the exact program, but you'll see it, you'll find it, inshallah. I think I've heard some great things about it. Just joined concert, pardon me. My question is, is Al-Khidr alive? Does he perform Hajj every year? Ahmed Isa Patel Sahib. There's a difference of opinion on Khidr. Is he always alive? Or is he still alive in our age? I don't personally believe he is. There's arguments on both sides. Mullah Ali Al-Qari has a book called Al-Hadhr fi Amr Al-Khadr. Because he's also called Qadir, he's called Khidr, he's called they pronounce it in a few different ways. Some people said that he remains alive and so on, and they use certain Ibn Kathir, they argued for that he was dead. I think Imam Bukhari argued for him having died. They used the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said that, what's the hadith? The hadith that, ma min nafsin. But the wording of the hadith just. But the Prophet said in the hadith that 100 years from today, there isn't a soul on the earth that will still be here. And so, based on that, they said that it was that Khidr alayhi salam had died. Obviously, other people said the Prophet wasn't talking about Khidr. I don't personally believe he's alive now. That's my understanding. Ridwan, alright, Ridi. Those who don't know, Ridi All right, our local Maliki from Bromtown is in Saudi Arabia right now, right, teaching away. So awesome stuff, awesome stuff. Right, good Nosh, good verdict. Sorry, I'm just catching up on some of the comments. Crystal, alright, on the transgender comment. Shukran, shukran. I mean, it's true. The thing is that I think there's some things that we give too much of a hard time to people on. And also, I think some things, when I was studying my iftar course, there was a question to do with transgender about something else, not the kind of questions we're looking at today. But, and remember, this is going like about 12 years ago when I was doing about 11 years ago, 11, 12, when I was doing my Mufti course. Now, I remember at the time trying to do research, and I realized how little has been written throughout the entire Islamic history on people of transgender. And historically, they called them khuntha. And I know transgender covers a whole variety of people today, from transvestites to transsexuals. Historically, I suppose they primarily spoke about those who either had both genitalia, both kind of parts, or kind of none, and then just developed one way or the other, or they had one but started to develop the other way. So they call them khuntha in Arabic. Now, it is kind of shocking how little has been kind of dedicated to the kind of khuntha really category in terms of the rulings and stuff like this. And it's almost a shame, really. I found it that historically people people just blank them. No, I don't think they blank them in society, but in the books, I know they speak about them in how you give inheritance and stuff like that, yes. But for example, things like marriage, they will just say, well, they have no right to get married. And I found that a bit really shocking that how can you say that though? Because they are still, God's creature, they're still people. And if they want to, what are they supposed to do? So, and you can't say that. I mean, historically, I suppose, I don't know what they would have done. I mean, I know people had obviously slaves and stuff like this. And actually, it's interesting. Ibn Arabi says that in one of his diaries, one thing I love about Qadi Abu Bakr ibn Arabi is he used to write diaries. Yeah. So and he speaks about when he was studying with Imam Ghazali, and there was this transgender kind of person that would study there with him. So he says he was a man, big beard, but he'd have big breasts, and it'd be but it was a big bearded kind of guy studying with Imam Ghazali. And so he said, but he used to have these two slave girls. And Qadi Abu Bakr ibn Arabi says, he says, I always used to think, okay, but is he kind of active as a male with those slave girls? And so he says, I used to wonder, and he writes this in his book, by the way, Qadi Abu Bakr ibn Arabi, he says, I wonder, was he sexually active? And he says, I wanted to ask him. And he says, but every time we kind of started discussing, he says, for some reason, I never got the moment, it just wasn't right, the conversation wasn't right to ask that. And he says, and then we kind of parted ways, and that's it. And he says, years later, he's in Al-Andalus now, he's back in Spain. He says that years later now, and it's probably been a decade or so later, he says it beats the hell out of me, and I so wish that I'd asked. Oh, well, I suppose we all have some regrets. But I think it's a bit unfair, really, that so I think these things need to be revisited. What's the proper way to curl weight? All right, come on, get that pre-workout drink, get in there, just get on with it. That's the best way, I'm telling you. Ready, doing it. So why are people angry at you? I don't know. Why are people angry? God damn, spread the love, people. Storage and iCloud settings, delete it from there. That way it'll let you. Okay, Gibran, if I need any help, I'm going to reach out to you. The verse of the Quran, يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن. What's the question? To my humble understanding, what is more suitable, that they will be known and be abused, of being abused or hurt? If the maqsad, then today the question, what about today's world? Women are being abused because they're recognized as Muslims and hijab, and I'm not sure what the question is right there. So I'm just trying to understand, Wafa, what the question is. I think what Wafa is asking is, if the maqsad, the objective of the Sharia for hijab was to safeguard, then today if it was becoming an instrument to endanger them, should that not be kind of reevaluated? I think yes, as a contingency ruling, absolutely. So if a woman's hijab was going to endanger her, I don't think she has. I think she has a dispensation not to wear it. That's absolutely. I don't think anybody would really disagree with that understanding. But I'm not sure if that was the objective. Obviously, is modesty and so on. But Allahu A'lam. I hope that's of some help. Yusuf Al Khattab. All right, brother. How you doing? That's brother Yusuf from the States, right there. Mogul, who is clicking on the angry button on and off? I don't know. Damn. Right. Let Noor live. Hashtag Noor saying let Noor. Right. Give us Noor. Hashtag the verse, that hadith. Ya Allah, give us Noor. That's what people are going to be misquoting. What do you think of my Pakistani jokes? Jahan, Allah. Those people who don't know Jahan, there he is. Major active brother from Brumtown once again. This is from Brum's finest. Okay, he's doing some awesome work. Right, so let's be honest, there's a lot of Maliks living in Pakistan. True. Very, very awesome sense of humor. Right, so real talk. Those playboys and agent of Iblis, Allah. All right, well, okay. Thanks for that statement. Right, Assalamu alaikum. Your thoughts on Imam Abu Hanifa and Khamar being Asir al-Ainab idha ishtad makes little sense at first glance, but kullu muskir, Khamar, kullu khamrin haram. Yep, I mean, what's the question? The thing is that regarding alcohol, the scholars historically from the time of the Salaf disagreed on what alcohol is, because when Allah is using the term alcohol in the Quran, khamar, that Allah was specifically addressing the alcohol that was being made out of grapes like wine or dates. Now, so was it restricted to that? Or was alcohol, anything that's an intoxicant? So the Hanafi madhab said that alcohol, khamar, alcohol is obviously a chemical, so I don't think using that is the right word, but khamar is restricted to those two, and the rest are intoxicants as well. So with intoxicants, you see, with khamar then, they said that you can't even have a drop of it. But with intoxicants, if it hadn't reached an intoxicating level, so whilst through fermentation and stuff like this, then it wouldn't actually be haram. Even if it had reached a subtle level, but not the full level. And this was what the historical beef was all about. It's all about that point. And they said that it wasn't, they didn't consider it impure. So stuff like beer, the Hanafi madhab wouldn't have considered that impure. They would have just considered if it's been fully fermented to be haram, but if it wasn't fully fermented to be permissible. So this is, obviously today none of them will speak about this, by the way, but this is in the books historically. So man can't drink with left hand. Allah. That's a good question. Can you drink with your left hand? The hadith says, Kul bi yaminik, right? Eat with your right hand. I mean, it's not haram. I don't believe personally it's haram to eat with your left hand. I think it's discouraged. To drink with your left hand, I think generally the Sharia would encourage that you do things like eat and drink with the right hand. But if there was a reason, like let's say you're doing something and I don't know, your hands, you're eating and you just need a quick drink of something and you drank with your left hand, I don't think it's a big deal, inshallah. Joanna Sahiba saying, what's wrong with left? Left is awesome. I tell you, left-handed people, I don't know how many people out there are left-handed, but special connection with left-handed people. I'm telling you, but this is interesting, you see, because it's kind of predetermined, isn't it? Like you come into this world and you already have that, and that will kind of give you certain, I don't know, maybe certain, it will give you an aptitude to do certain things, maybe. Allahu A'lam, Allahu A'lam. But one thing I did do, when I was 18, I practiced writing, like I became right-handed as well, so I started to write with my right hand, especially Arabic. In fact, recently I've been trying to brush up the English with my right hand now, because I never used to write English much with my right hand, so when I write it's still like a retard. But Arabic I could write well, you see. So if I wrote Arabic with my right hand, it'd just be normal. So I'm trying to brush up my English now as well with that. But I think that's interesting. Those of you that have time, why not learn how to write with your left? It'll unlock some potential in your brain, I'm telling you. I'm doing my engineering. My job interview starts, so I can get very impatient when it comes to Islamic learning. What should I do? Well, Faizan, for those of you that don't know, our brother from India, alright, Phir bhi dil hai Hindustani, alright, who's studying the sacred sciences over there. So I think just keep the learning going, inshallah. Try and, just set yourself a schedule that works, inshallah. Amreen Kausar, is talaq valid through messages and also valid if, in general, yes, I mean, through messages, I think unanimously it's accepted. If the wife is on the menstrual cycle, according to the majority of the scholars, it happens. According to some of the Hanabila, the Hanbali scholars, it doesn't. Generally, they will say it does happen. I know if there had been an issue and to kind of help the couple reconcile, maybe a dispensation could be exercised based on that fatwa. So basically what I'm saying is people could give that fatwa to help the couple get back together. Anisa Bujdaini, Latifa, Maryam comment, and no idea what that says. No idea. Right, so inshallah, what's up, Mufti Salman? Alright. Shafa and watar prayer, jahar or sir recitation. You can do both really, but some people do jahar. If you're doing it in the mosque, don't do jahar, obviously. Just do sir. But if you're doing it on your own, you can recite. Jahar means aloud, audible, and sir is inaudible, silent. Right? Okay. Is it permissible to give salam to your right and left at the prayer? At the end of prayers, a Maliki Kahan? Of course it is. Of course it is. Ibn Abdul Bar actually has a whole book kind of dedicated, an article dedicated to that. Right, so the thing is, right, I'm just, sorry, right, so yeah, I mean, that's absolutely permissible. You can do that, okay? Both are absolutely permitted. So you can say, a lot of Malikis just tend to go Assalamu alaikum and that's it, and the prayer finishes. Inshallah, make dua, people. We are working on releasing a quick prayer video on how to pray in accordance with the school of Medina, with the Maliki madhab, inshallah. And once that's done, that will be up on YouTube. So, but the thing is, most Malikis will just do something like Assalamu alaikum and just stop there. Some of them you can, and if you're praying with people, you say Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. You can also say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. There's no problem in that. You can say it both ways. Some Malikis tend to do three. Ibn Arabi really hit the roof on that one. So if you read his refutation, he just goes bizarre. I think if he had a gun, he would have gone trigger happy on. He says, what on earth is this nonsense of three salams? But I'm not too down with the three salams either. Like, they do like 1, 2, 3. I would say 1 or 2 are absolutely, that's how I would kind of encourage. Joanna, shukran. Francisco Gonzalez, alright, hablas español. Right, assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Assalamu alaikum, ya Mufti. Let's see, Saraj, what's the question? Question is about I see, this is going to make me sound like a retard now, isn't it? Mufti don't know how to read English. Crustaceans. Well, I did actually leave school with no qualifications. Crustaceans are crabs, shrimps, and prawns. What? Oh, is that what we call that category? Shukran, I learned something there. Shukran, I'm gonna like that. Look at that. Crustaceans or crust, I don't know how you pronounce it, I'll have to find out. Crabs, shrimps, and prawns halal or haram. All, according to the school of Medina, all creatures of the sea are halal, including amphibians. So that includes turtles, those creatures which live on land and water. So crocodiles, turtles, frogs, crabs, lobster, you name it. It's all halal. All birds are halal. And predatory beasts, in fact, most animals are simply only makruh. Okay, predatory beasts. So in the Maliki madhab, when it comes to food, very little is haram. Okay, even things like lions, tigers are not haram, they're just makruh. So how can I go on Hajj while still having student debt? Just go on Hajj. Right, come to Los Angeles, inshallah, the LA, that's it, man, city of the angels. Why not, inshallah. Nishath says, if 2 people are living apart and want a divorce, but one of them is not willing, how can this be done? Well, if the guy is divorcing, then he can obviously conduct that. If the girl wants the divorce, the wife, and the guy is not willing and the relationship has broken down, she can apply for a talaq. Unfortunately, she can just apply to a Sharia council. Unfortunately, some are less understanding than others, but I tell you what, if you get in touch with the Islamic Council, .co.uk, inshallah, speak to them, and they should be very helpful on that, inshallah. That's you can listen to that again, inshallah. Let's see if so. That's the Islamic Council, yeah, which you can just go to their website, .co.uk. Right. How does one make a nikah contract? Well, I mean, a nikah contract is basically just saying, I want to get married, I want to have a nikah with you. And the other person says, all right, I accept. And you say, all right. Or you just do it like this, you go, it's on. And the other person goes, it's on. Don't quote me on that. That's a joke. Do a proper nikah. You just say, "Naam, I'm doing this. Have you accepted? It's in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah for the mahar of such and such." You set a mahar. You ask. You have witnesses present, and the wali, ideally, you have a guardian present, although it's not a necessary condition. According to certain madhabs. Person who is doing angry face is probably the first one. They only follow Haqq, Quran and Sunnah. Allah, Quran was Sunnah. You see, it's interesting because Imam Malik was very forceful on that understanding, and we stick to that understanding to the letter of it. But note how we do not say that we follow the Quran and Hadith. We say we follow the Quran and Sunnah, because the Malikiyya drew a distinction between Hadith and Sunnah. Okay, so not every Hadith is a Sunnah. Did the Mufti explain about crustaceans? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but yes, it's all good. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Where did you learn the Maliki madhab? Well, I initially, many years back, studied when I was studying in the late 90s in Damascus. I initially started studying there. There was some Malikiyya, studied with them. I was very fortunate, alhamdulillah, some great people. Then when I traveled to Pakistan, when I began to do my alim course, there was a Maliki Mufti, What a coincidence, who was living in that madrasa teaching. So, under his tutelage, and then continued in the class as well. They would teach comparative fiqh, so they would teach you the Maliki madhab as well. And so just went on like that. Adam Lee Khan, salam, give us a little recitation. I wish I could. Seriously, I do not have that kind of voice. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I wish I had a voice like people. I can't do it. I just don't have the... But Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, oh my God. How could any... You know what it is? It's not that I support Hillary Clinton, but Donald Trump is just a bigot, a racist bigot who doesn't deserve any attention, and the fact that he's got any just shows you that money talks. So any difference of opinion Maliki fiqh with regards to the wudu prerequisite of not letting limbs dry out during wudu, continuity, especially considering waswasa? Yes, of course, if a person has any kind of and what we'll do, guys, is we'll wrap this up in about 10 minutes here, inshallah. So it's about an hour long. How does that sound? And I'll try and we'll keep these regular, inshallah, Monday nights here. But anyway, I'll take these questions here. We'll do about 10 minutes. Right, so is there any difference of opinion on... Yes, if a person has any... If you're suffering from OCD, just ignore the OCD at all costs. You are under command, right, to ignore the OCD. That is a direct commandment from the Sharia to you. So ignore it under all costs. Okay? Whatever that's impacting. And yes, the muwala is just common sense. It doesn't matter about the limbs drying out, but it's more about things like, all right, look at that, some love being shared right there. Shukran. Right back at you people, man. So the thing is, it's not about limbs being dried out, because some countries are hotter and warmer than others, but it's more about the common sense thing. Obviously, if I started to wash my hands and wash my face for wudu, and then I don't know, I took a nap or went out to do shopping or decided to clock an entire season of Suits or something, that's not going to work, is it? I need to start the wudu from the beginning. So how can we get masjids to talk about movements and get active and such things? Black Lives Matter. Abbas, I totally agree with you. I feel, and I've made a post about this a little while back when I know recently there's been incidents, but with the last set of incidents in America with the Black Lives Matter, I said I feel that it is demonstrative. It demonstrates a failing on behalf of us as Muslims, that we did not capitalize and that we were not representative and pioneering and at the front of the movement of Black Lives Matter. Seriously, it is a failing on our behalf. And I was disgusted with some of the comments by some people, mashayikh, ulama of great followings, especially, that are originally kind of Middle Eastern or Saudi based, but when they said this is not our problem, this is not a Muslim problem, Black Lives Matter, I thought that was utterly disgusting. And seriously, if the Prophet ﷺ was here today, he would have been at the forefront of that effort and movement of Black Lives Matter. Right, inshallah, Ricky, I will do one a week. As to getting masjids involved, sorry man, I don't know how to get masjids involved, because first of all, masjids won't involve me. Right, so how does one get over a major sin? Look, people, we need to focus on the good. The bad will take care of itself, okay? So don't worry, don't get obsessed, don't guilt trip, right? Things are human nature. You need to focus on the good. That's what I tell people. That's what I tell my students, my friends, that look, it ain't about I don't know, that's my approach. You might criticize, you might say it's wrong. I accept that. But our approach is that you focus on the good things and the positives you're doing. Don't worry about the negatives, right? Don't worry about it, inshallah. Our Lord is merciful, inshallah. Right, so the thing is how to deal with converts in guiding to learn their fiqh. So how do they choose a madhab? Most of them don't know what or who they follow. True, Fareed, good question. It's quite simple really. They should just follow the school of Medina. But the Maliki fiqh, to be fair, is very kind of accommodating for the West in general. Especially it's being entrenched in the understanding of Sunnah, being firmly based with the foundation of maslahah, of welfare, and then recognizing things like culture as a huge kind of thing. I think these are really key points. And then having a history of 700 years in Europe, Spain, Muslim Spain, is an awesome kind of cocktail, really. What significance does Ghazwa-e-Hind have in our time, end of time? Sorry, Ghazwa-e-Hind. I don't know if it has any significance. I know there's a hadith about that there will be a Ghazwatul Hind. I'm not sure what that really meant and stuff like that. Allahu A'lam. But I think we need to stop becoming apocalypse obsessed. Okay. That we are apocalypse centered. That everything is about triggering the final days. Everything should be about living, not about dying. Okay. Not one of these marenge sale sab ke sab. We're gonna die anyway, I know that, but thanks for reminding us. But the thing is, look, I think the focus needs to be on living whilst we're alive, inshallah. In this dunya, YOLO. So live it. That's what the hadith teaches. That needs to be our attitude nowadays. What if one has work and uni on Jummah times, can't make the alternate classes? I mean, you can, if it's difficult to attend Jummah, it can be excused. That's what I believe. Do you consider khilafah to be an obligation? No, not really. In my understanding, I don't think this world will return to that kind of a state, really. I don't think we can unite under a person. I don't think unity like that is kind of feasible. To be honest, I don't think it ever was, even historically. I think it's a bit romanticized. When anybody who studies history realizes it never was like that, actually. So it's just a romantic kind of. So when people keep going on about all of our problems will disappear if we had a khilafah, I mean, what are they talking about? We've never had centralized authority in the Muslim world ever since the very early start of Islam. So if we haven't had it for almost unless obviously you could say in Bani Umayyah's time there was some centralized authority. But even if, there were huge struggles, the rise of the Abbasids, the kind of Khawarij movements in North Africa, things like that, and the split off, the break off of the Walat in Al-Andalus. So even if for a few decades they did have it in the beginning, ever since, so for over 1,200 years, this ummah, for over 1,200 years, has never seen centralized authority. Why are we going to see it all of a sudden? So you laugh like an Indian villain. Hell yeah. Why not? Right, so no, nothing to be sorry about. There you go. Is establishing the khilafah fard ayn? No, it isn't fard ayn. Any comments on Playboy? I've already done the comments above. I've said people need to just let people be and stop trying to control other people. Even if you disagree, if you disagree with people, fair enough, you disagree with them. If they ask you about it, just comment, give your opinion, but you don't need to become obsessed about trying to control other people. Mufti Sahab, these brothers say they are only ones on Quran and Sunnah. They are making brothers and sisters go against their family, shouting shirk, ahl bidah. See, the thing is, Abbas, that when we say that, you're absolutely correct. Having one monotracked understanding, we can't get anywhere, because it just doesn't. That's not how the deen would work. The problem is we as human beings struggle with ambiguity. And some people struggle with it more than others and some less. So the deen, unfortunately for those people, is ambiguous too. It isn't as monolithic. It isn't just black and white. Some very basic things are, like one God, like that kind of stuff. But once you get beyond the very uber basic kind of statements and facts, it becomes very incredibly kind of like shady. And I don't mean by shady like suspicious, but I mean like it becomes, there's grey areas everywhere, huge overlapped understandings, differences of opinion, vast differences, one saying halal, one saying haram, all these kind of things, and people struggle with that. And then another thing which I can't overemphasize enough is our preconceived understanding of religion, our ontology of religion, before we even come to the table to learn what religion, and that, what I mean of religion with a capital R. So we all carry preconceived understandings. So for example, before you or anybody learns anything about Islam, they already know it's a religion. By that, they already have an understanding that it will be something to do with do's and don'ts. They already understand that it will be something that is, this is their kind of preconceived understanding, that it will have rituals. They already understand that it will, you see, that religion, and the capital R, is to do with purity, purification. They see it as, they already assume it will be anti-desires. So anything of desires, they assume it will be anti-desires. They assume it will be anti-dunya, anti-world. So it's not about kind of, not about the worldly kind of stuff. So these are preconceptions that we have before we, so they already have this understanding that there will be, that they have this understanding that it will be anti-pleasure, anti-fun. And it will be all, they have an understanding it will be about sacrificing and suffering. Now these, when you bring these preconceptions to the table before even learning what Islam has to say, any ruling, first of all, they will influence your rulings because you will seek confirmation. So whenever you come across certain texts that match that understanding, it will just fit right in. And other texts which are more open-minded, free-spirited, you will struggle with because it doesn't match this ontology. And so when people say things like music is haram, it's easy for people to accept that because it matches this ontology of religion is supposed to be anti-desires, anti-having entertainment, anti-this. It's supposed to be about purification, puritanism, being pure, not indulging in desires. Whereas if somebody said music was halal, even if imagine there was overwhelming evidence for music being halal, people would still struggle to embrace that because their ontology and preconceived ideas of religion would clash with it. So it's a bit like when you get rulings today of anything to do with of a sexual nature. It's easy to denounce all those rulings because it matches that ontology, and anything that kind of gives you a more, an open interpretation, people will struggle with. Right, let's move on. What does the Quran say about masturbation? Charlie, you need to focus when you're writing. Okay, you need to pay attention. See, I'm going to say something and then I'm going to get in trouble for it. Right, anyway, so I mean, you need to focus with those hands when you're writing. And I think what you're trying to say is masturbation. But the point is, well, that's what I'm talking about, you see. That my understanding is that I don't believe it's haram. I don't believe the Sharia says it's haram necessarily. There's no evidence in the Quran or Sunnah. But people will struggle to accept that because it clashes with the ontology of religion. Okay, so there was next question. There was a Mukhannath named Heath who was a companion transgender. Yeah, absolutely, Crystal, that's correct. Allah, Mufti Sahab, Hanji. Guys, what time are we coming? I think we should be kind of wrapping up. What do you say? What do you have to say about Halloween? Is it permissible? I believe it's permissible. I think the Americans are a lot harsher on things like that. I don't know why that is actually. UK people generally, I think, but then again, the UK, you can have a lot of weird people in the UK. But I mean, I found a lot of open-minded American scholars harsh on things like Halloween because they link it to paganism. I don't really feel that. I disagree with that, because I feel that nobody today, when they're celebrating Halloween, is going to start worshipping witches and stuff like it. Doesn't work like that. And when you look at Islam, when Muslims, as Islam was developing, there were many pre-Islamic customs. Things like the Rajabiyah, which was like a particular fast or observance and a sacrifice kept in a certain month. Muslims continued to observe that. There were things like, what is a good one is actually, and I like this understanding, is aqiqah, with the child being born. Now, aqiqah was actually a jahiliyyah practice. It was nothing to do with Islam. This is why even the Hanafi madhab only considered it permissible. They didn't consider it recommended. That's Imam Abu Hanifa. I know some others disagreed with him. But my point is that what they would do is they would sacrifice this animal and crush its bones, break its bones. They would wipe the blood over the forehead of the child. And this would kind of avert any harm to this child, but two, they said it would make the child, some people said, more obedient to the parents. It was like a superstition. Now, Islam didn't actually condemn it, surprisingly. It actually allowed it, to the extent that it's actually considered by many scholars and recommended. So what the hadith mentions in Abu Dawood, the Prophet ﷺ, obviously you sacrifice to Allah, you don't sacrifice to the other animals. But you can break the bones. What's interesting is the Prophet said, he told people, don't wipe the blood on the forehead of the child. But what he said is you could wipe color, saffron, or you could wipe like henna, like mendi, like kind of like you could use color and wipe red color over the forehead. Now that's interesting, because it's kind of like Islamicizing what was a Jahili practice, okay, dedicated to these false gods. And here comes a harmless kind of Islamicized version of it by the Muslim community. Although some felt it had no reward or anything, but it was still permissible. And I think things like that are very good for us to understand in how we can participate or is permissible in things like Halloween especially, and even Christmas, saying things like Merry Christmas and stuff like that. Okay, shout out from Vancouver. All right, Adib. Do you just use your left hand to drink? It's the screen that's flipping. All right, okay, let's take a last question. Hundera Salam from Finland. Mufti, I'd like to ask you about Muslim convert inheriting. Normally here that I believe it's permissible, inshallah, from non-Muslim parents, absolutely. No reason you should deprive somebody. It doesn't make any sense that Islam should deprive people. By embracing Allah and His Messenger, they should lose out. That actually would be a reason for people not to embrace Islam. I don't see any reason that, in fact, Islam, when we look at its methods, it was, people that were kind of coming close to Islam. Islam would even allow to spend money on them. وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ. That those people that, the mu'allafatul qulub are those people that were kind of sympathetic to Islam, and you were allowed to invest financially in those people. It would because Islam recognized that financial motivation helps. Not that you bribe people to have faith, not like that, but that you could help them in certain things and provide financial opportunities for these people, and by doing so build bridges. So it wouldn't make any sense to say, well, by embracing Allah and His Messenger, you can't. That's just pure hating on people who have got like a fat inheritance waiting for them. You go, say the Shahada. I got some good news and bad news. Good news, alhamdulillah, mashallah, you're Muslim. Bad news, you just lost out on all of that. and the even more bad news, should you decide to apostate, Uh-oh. Then somebody's going to be inheriting from you. So I think these things are utterly, I utterly agree with these kind of things and this perspective, inshallah. Another thing is when people embrace, alhamdulillah, it's awesome, obviously. But I have a question. I saw this picture the other day on Facebook of this guy, I don't know, European, I don't think it was English, I think European. But, actually may have been English, I don't know. But he's converted to Islam. He's in this mosque, standing next to these people with like kind of turbans on and stuff. And okay, he's become a Muslim, but why do you have to make him into a Paki?